Okay. So the blood-brain barrier is a complex process that's not really technically a barrier as much as it is just the arrangement of particular tissues around the blood vessels of the nervous system, whose job it is to regulate what can and cannot come in and out of a nervous system. So there's a number of different things that'll cause an issue with blood-brain permeability. Essentially, think any kind of inflammatory process can compromise that process. If you have swelling, an additional amount of blood flow into that area, if you have a hypoxic or you have swelling on the backside of the blood-brain barrier in the nervous system itself, all of that's going to compromise what kind of material is able to come into this nervous system. Most of the time, though, the blood-brain barrier also becomes a source of pathology. It's a place where the nervous system itself can be intact. It can be sort of in a plateaued place where some previous injury has happened, but the continued pathology is really just related to a blood-brain barrier. So in terms of design considerations, and these are sort of bigger ideas, and then we'll talk more about details, and we'll talk a little bit more about the materials that we'll put actually inside of the liposomes and how the strategy might play out that way. So essentially, remember that the interior of the liposome is going to be water soluble. That's important because the outside of the liposome is water soluble, the interior of the liposome is water soluble. So basically, when you're putting your materials together to get a bilayer to form or a liposome to form, you're putting phospholipids into an aqueous environment. As the phospholipids spontaneously form themselves into spherical structures based upon some energy that you might put into them. So here again, you've got these two options of passive loading and active loading. For most of us, I don't really talk much about active loading because the use of those solvents are usually pretty much game changers for me. That's not no longer like means that I'm looking for, because I'm looking for something that is going to provide a natural base and ensure that we make a good, consistent liposome. So the passive loading involves, there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. We talk a little bit about this very rich topic of the endocannabinoid system. It's a central regulatory system that affects this huge range of biological processes, especially neuroinflammation. We've talked a lot about the endocannabinoid system over the last several years because of the new legalities around cannabis products. Now we have in Arizona, recreational is legal as well as the medical, and the difference is I think you get a 16 or 19% sales tax added to your cannabis products if you're buying it recreationally. The receptors for endocannabinoids are everywhere in your body. This morning, I read a really great article that talked about the runner's high. The runner's high is like anybody who does distance activities, which I'm a big fan of distance running. We used to think that the runner's high was because of endorphins that are released while you're running.